I would like to use a little bit of stage space, so thank you. So, first of all, I would like to thank our the fellow speakers for talking about all the advanced pathways to produce SAF. I am going to make your life easy. I am going to talk about something simple and basic. But before I talk about anything, I want to ask one simple question. Please respond me by raising your hand. How many of you love our planet Earth? Okay. The follow-up question, if I ask you to sacrifice something to save planet Earth, how many of you will do? So within 20 minutes, we'll check how many of you will keep your promise. Next question, please hear carefully. How many of you love samosa and chola bhaturas? Guys, please raise your hand. Yesterday, I saw a long queue in front of the samosa parlor, right? During the gala dinner. So please be honest, raise your hand. How many of you love samosas and chola bhaturas? Thank you. We'll come back on this. So, about company, Lamas Technology is a technology licensor, and we provide technology for gas processing, refining, petrochemical and polymer, and biofuel technologies. Additionally, we are the supplier of catalyst and proprietary equipments. We also provide digital solutions to all our technologies. When it comes to global footprint, we have a legacy of more than 100 years. We have currently 12 worldwide offices, 4 operating advanced facilities, more than 4,100 patents. When it comes to a technology portfolio, we have a massive portfolio of more than 160 technologies. Next point is very, very critical to understand. When it comes to ethylene, we are #1 in the world. It means more than 50% of the ethylene is being produced using our technology. And why it is important? Because in one of the pathways to produce SAF, ethylene is a critical intermediate step. We'll talk about it. So before we talk about a solution, first let's talk about a problem. So on the left side of the slide, you can see the trend. On the right side, you can see the impact. So the very first trend is more and more people are using flights. It means more consumption of the fuel, more carbon emission. Impact, urgent need for decarbonization. Second is global net zero commitments. It means a massive market for SAF. Third thing is that when it comes to passengers vehicle, you have CNG, you have electric fleet. But unfortunately, when it comes to plane, hydrogen-powered vehicle, or hydrogen-powered plane or electric fleet are not ready. And it will take decades to be ready. So what is the option? So as per the IATA report, the best option is to go with something which is sustainable. The next point is very, very critical. Looking at the current geopolitical situation, we have to be self-reliant. And our Prime Minister fondly says that we have to be Atmanirbhar in everything. And when it comes to energy security, it becomes even more critical. So it means we need to reduce the crude import. So we have talked about the problem, and now let's talk about the solution. There's a strange thing about SAF. This is the only fuel for which so many pathways have been approved. Currently, there are 11 pathways approved for producing SAF, and almost similar number of pathways are under approval. You know why? Because no single pathway can produce enough SAF which can meet the global demand. Each pathway has its own challenges. So for the ease of understanding, I have condensed 11 pathways into 4 categories. The first category is HEFA. HEFA stands for hydroprocessed ester and fatty acids, where the feedstock is used cooking oil, animal fat, and waste oil. When it comes to technology readiness level, worldwide, all SAF is being produced using HEFA. In terms of economics, the cost of production is low. It means it doesn't mean the cost of production is lower than the conventional jet fuel. It means the cost of production is lower than other routes. The biggest challenge is feed availability. It means the feed for HEFA competes for other fuel like renewable diesel or some oleochemicals. Well, again, it's a time for next question. If I ask you to sacrifice your samosas and chola bhaturas, how many of you would like to do that? I can see very few people are raising their hands. Guys, I'm sorry to say that we do not have sufficient UCO, used cooking oil, because most of the UCO in India either ends up in samosa or chola bhaturas. And please don't ask me the data source, because this is something which I am telling from my own experience of having a sweet shop, and I know how the economics of samosa and used cooking or chola bhaturas work. Thanks. Since I'm sorry to say that, since you guys are not planning to sacrifice your samosas and chola bhaturas, so we have to move to the next pathway, which is ethanol to jet. So when it comes to ethanol, I should say that it is a alcohol to jet. So there are two alcohol. One is ethanol, another one is isobutanol. Here I will talk about ethanol. So for ethanol production, the main feedstocks are sugarcane, molasses, waste grain, energy crops, or agriculture residues. After HEFA, this is the only pathways where all steps are commercialized. I'll not talk about TRL number 4, 5, 6. All steps are commercialized. Already, all the steps, all the units are already in operation. When it comes to economics, the cost of production is higher than HEFA, but still comparatively lower than FT and PTL. The biggest challenge is variety of feed. It means variety of feed to produce ethanol. And when that ethanol processes in ethanol to ethylene process, which is the first step, then so many complexities come that we'll talk about in forthcoming slides. And the second critical step is ethanol dehydration process. So worldwide, there's only 1 or 2 plants which are in the operation at a commercial scale. I'm not talking about a small scale or pilot scale or demo scale plant. I'm talking about a commercial scale. So there are only very few plants. So that is one of the biggest challenge. Now you must be thinking that I'm going to ask another question. So if I ask you how many of you would like to sacrifice your ethanol? Yesterday I saw the response of the people and the happiness on the face of everyone during the gala dinner. And nobody would like to fly a plane with a sad faces where people are sad. So thanks to our government and our farmers that we have sufficient amount of ethanol available, which can drive our car, which can drive our plane, and which can also drive us. So now let's talk about the next route, which is FT Fisher Troughs. Our fellow speakers have already talked about it, but I'll take one step back. And you must have seen there were many processes, different steps are involved. I'm going to talk about one more step, which comes before FT. So that step is gasification. Though FT process is pretty old, the FT stands for Fisher Troughs, primarily used to produce liquid fuels using coal gasification. But here, coal cannot be used. So we have to use the biomass. And the biggest boon for this process or the pathway is the variety of feed. But unfortunately, the biggest boon becomes the biggest curse for first step of this process, which is gasification. And so far, there is no commercial scale gasifiers available. Second thing, gasification, especially the biomass gasification technology, is very, very feed specific. The moment you try to change the feed, lot of complexities involved. So after the gasification, you get syngas. And for the syngas, one thing is critically important, which is hydrogen to CO ratio. And once you get the syngas, it goes to the FT reactor. So with the variety of feedstock, it is very, very difficult to control the ratio of hydrogen to CO. And then when it goes to the Fischer-Tropsch, to get the Fischer-Tropsch liquid, and then you need a hydrocracking catalyst, then you need an isomerization catalyst, hydroprocessing, fractionation. So these are the different steps involved. When it comes to technology readiness level, the whole process is not commercialized, especially because of the gasification part. Cost of production is high and highly capital-intensive unit. The biggest challenge is feed aggregation, as I said. If we talk about any of the world-scale unit, it would be very, very difficult to find a single kind of feed available at a single place. And another challenge, as I already said, the complex gasification process. Next is PTL. So PTL stands for power to liquid. Well, this is the perfect route to produce SAF. But unfortunately, something which is perfect may not be practical, at least today. So for this PTL, you need green hydrogen and carbon dioxide. Thanks to our National Green Hydrogen Mission, that we are doing really well, but everybody sitting in this forum already knows that still the cost of hydrogen is, green hydrogen is very, very high. Second thing is carbon capture. Though this technology is also very, very old, but for this, but still not very optimized. And still it is evolving. And especially for PTL route, the carbon that can be captured through direct air capture method, for which the cost of production or cost of capturing the CO2 the cost of capturing the CO2 is as high as $500 to $600 per metric ton. The second route is biogenic CO2 capture, but there are issues related to the economies of scale. So once you have the carbon dioxide, once you have the green hydrogen, then the next magical step of reverse water gas shift reaction. Though this technology is also very, very old, but it has always remained either in lab or literature. And there is a reason for that. Because with reverse water gas shift reactor, you get syngas. And there are alternate methods available, like reforming or gasification, through which you can get the syngas. And this reaction is highly endothermic. So it means you need high temperature. At the same time, it's a catalytic process. So you need to increase the temperature as high as 700 to 800 degrees centigrade. So you need a robust catalyst which can sustain such a high temperature. At the same time, such a good metallurgy which can withstand such a high temperature. After the syngas, you need FT, the same pathway that we talked about. It means Fischer-Tropsch, hydrocracker, catalyst, isomerization catalyst, and then fractionation. So the biggest challenge is carbon capture process and the complex reverse water gas shift reactor. So I have talked about all those pathways, and another question that could be coming into your mind, what is best for India? I know you will not easily convince. So here are 4 categories through which you can judge on your own which is the best pathway for India to produce SAF. The first thing is strategic advantage. It means the feedstock. We have already concluded that we don't have a sufficient feedstock available for the UCO. Then next is what? We have existing ethanol infrastructure. And economics teaches us if we have something already available, we should try to utilize it. The third is the self-reliance. And as I already explained, and our Prime Minister keeps on saying about being self-reliant. So if you have the feedstock available in the country, then that is going to best for any of the pathway. When it comes to technology, as I said, all steps are commercialized, and it can be easily bolt on with ethanol plant. Additionally, it also produces byproducts like renewable diesel, and the unit can be designed in a flexible manner so that if you want to produce max SAF, you can produce or operate the unit in the max SAF mode or maybe in the max diesel mode. When it comes to economic and export potential, currently we produce almost 18 million metric ton of jet fuel. And out of 18 million metric ton, we export almost more than 50%. It means more than 9 to 10 million metric ton we export currently. So similar thing we can do here with SAF. When it comes to social policy impact, huge investment would be needed to create a safe ecosystem. It means job creation, boost in the farmer income. Now you must be thinking, after talking about so many pathways, what Lummus is going to offer. So Lummus, with our partner Chevron, we have a joint venture called Chevron Lummus Global. So with Chevron Lummus Global, we have a technology called IsoTerra, which is based on HEFA. So with HEFA route, we can process any kind of HEFA feedstocks to produce renewable diesel or SAF. When it comes to ethanol to jet, I talked about a critical challenge for ethanol to jet, which was ethanol dehydration process. And I'm glad to inform you that Lummus is the only licensor with a commercial scale ethanol to ethylene unit, which is in the operation in Brazil for more than 10 years. The capacity of the unit is 260 KTA ethylene production. Such a big unit. And I would candidly admit a fact that that unit has gone through its own learning curve, or it has gone through its own rough patches. The faults which we could not envisage during the design phase came up when the plant was in operation. Since the plant is in operation for last 10 years, all those things have been fixed to ensure that the plant can complete its on-stream factor. Next is dimerization and oligomerization. So after ethylene is dimerized to butene, and it is oligomerized to oligomer product. So here there is an important step, there is an important point to understand. The oligomer produced from this process is highly isoolefinic. It means you do not need hydrocracking catalyst, you do not need isomerization catalyst. Directly you can hydroprocess it, and the quantity of hydrogen needed is very, very minimum. So overall, when it comes to integrated unit, it is highly optimized for low capex, low OPEX, and low CO2 emission. Well, when it comes to ethanol, literally sky is the limit. You can set up a whole biorefinery around ethanol, or biorefinery come petrochemical or polymer complex. So when it comes to refineries are mainly built for 3 fuels, which is one is gasoline, another one is diesel, and third one is the jet fuel. And we have already seen that ethanol is being used as a blending component. The second thing is that with the jet process, you are getting jet fuel and renewable diesel. And additionally, you can also produce alkylate. When it comes to petrochemical complex, since as a process of ethanol to jet, ethanol to ethylene, you are already getting. And with a technology called OCT, you can get propylene. So once you have the bioethylene and biopropylene, you can produce all the polymers, whether it is biopolymers, whether it is polypropylene or propylene-based any other polymer, and everything will be called a bio-based polymer or bio-based petrochemical. Well, this is the second last slide. The next question that could be coming to your mind, how to make the project bankable. So I'll just talk about the very first point. Remaining points already fellow speakers have talked about. The proven technology pathway. It is very, very important before you decide to go with any of the technology partner, you understand that all the steps are commercialized. And when it comes to ethanol to jet, I'm giving you one example. All alcohols are not same. So being one of the leading licensor for methanol to olefins or ethanol to ethylene, I would like to highlight a point. The chemistry and the process for methanol to olefin is entirely different from ethanol to ethylene. So for each step, we have to be very, very careful. And as a producer or as a producer of SAF, your expectation should be to ask the licensor to facilitate a visit to the reference unit so that you can see how the unit is in operation. So that is the critical point that should be kept in the mind while you are deciding your technology partner. And other things other fellow speakers have already talked about. So this is the last slide, summary and the path forward. HEFA is definitely a short-term solution. And due to high capex and technology readiness level challenges, Fischer-Tropsch and PTL routes, definitely these technologies can be an option for the future, probably beyond 2045 or beyond. Ethanol to jet is India's fast-track to sustainable aviation. And Lamas is here to offer isoterra, it means HEPA-based, or ethanol to jet technology. And the last but not the least, as our CEO famously, oftenly says that, never leave the customers. Trust me, as a licensor, we will not be associated with you with up to the basic engineering package, but we will be associated with you up to the commissioning and beyond. With this, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your patience listening. I'm available for any of the question answers, and also we have a booth here, and we will be available for tomorrow. You can come to the booth and ask about these technologies or maybe other 158 technologies. Thank you. Thanks a lot.